Welcome everybody to Options Trading, brought to you by Alpha Traders. In this video, we're going to talk about what options actually are. This is number 1 of a 9-video series. As you can see here, what are options? After this, a brief history of options, and so on and so forth. So let's get right into it. Options are more of a contract rather than an asset. So where you might trade Apple or AMD or Nvidia or Google, this you're not exactly trading the stock itself. You're actually trading a contract that involves that stock. It's called a derivative, and we'll get explaining a little bit further into that a little later into another video. An option gives you the right to buy or sell, but it removes the obligation to do so. If you're familiar with futures, there's an obligation to fulfill that contract, where option, you can either exercise the right or not. Now, there's many different types of options, but the two most popular are calls and puts. Now, options also give you the ability to control 100 shares of a particular asset per contract. Now, these contracts are pre-written, and that 100 shares is almost unanimous across the board. So when you pick up an options contract, you are actually in control of 100 shares, where if you were to exercise that option, you would be able to buy or sell the underlying asset, 100 of them, for the particular strike that you have. Every option has a strike price that's associated with it, as well as a date. That date is your expiration date. Now, let's say you're looking to buy some Apple stock after they had a pretty bad earnings report. So you feel that the price will rebound and go up much higher from its current position. However, you don't have the money at the time, and you don't want to use that much capital. You don't want to buy 100 shares. So what you can do is you can buy an option near the current price with an expiration, let's say 6 months from now. Now, this would give you the right to buy 100 shares of Apple stock at the price that you chose. So if you chose it near the current price, then you would be able to buy 100 shares of Apple stock in anywhere between now and 6 months for the price that you locked in, for that strike price. So now, even if Apple tripled in value since you bought the option, you still have the right to buy 100 shares at the price you originally agreed to. So let's say Apple, for the lack of being right on top of the Apple market today, let's just say you wanted to buy Apple at $500. And you got the option to do so for that with a strike of $500. But in 6 months, Apple stock is now $1,500 per share. You can exercise that option to buy 100 shares of stock, of Apple stock, at $500 a piece, and not the current price of $1,500. That's where options really have a twofold to them. They're very good for traders who have no business exercising any of these options at all. But they're also very good for investors, where investors can pay the premium, but they actually do want to exercise that option, and they do want to buy those 100 shares. So if you decide that you're no longer interested in buying 100 shares of Apple stock at the price you locked in, there's likely somebody else who will. That is where the larger investors come in, or that is just where someone who's collecting a bunch of stock and wants to build their portfolio, they might come in to lock in 100 shares at a clip and not have to worry about trying to limit buy them with slippage. So you can then sell your option to another trader. He can then sell the option again, or he can execute the option and purchase 100 shares. All right, so that is, in a nutshell, just a very simple, very basic form of explaining what options are. We're going to get a little bit more detailed in the next coming videos, but we want to be able to keep this as simple to grab, as simple to grasp as possible. Want to make sure that everybody really does understand what options are and how they're different from the rest of the market. So that'll wrap it up for the what are options, and we'll be back in the next video.